Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Ely Primary Mayoral Candidate Forum, sponsored by the American Association of University Women, the Ely branch, and the Ely Rotary Club. My name's Linda Sutton and I'm going to be tonight's event moderator. We are fortunate to have 6 candidates running for this important office this year, and 5 of them are here to answer questions tonight submitted by Ely residents. They're going to touch on a number of important topics because we want the evening to provide you with the information you need to make an informed choice. And remember that early voting begins soon on February 26th, and Election Day is April 13th. And our 6 candidates are Angela Campbell, Jerome DeBeltz, Paul Kess, Mika Leiter, Heidi Omerza, and Roger Scraba. 5 of them are here tonight. Mika is not with us, but we're going to begin with each of the candidates having a minute and a half for an introduction and an opening statement. Let us know why you want to be our mayor. And our timers tonight are Pam Ransom and Lucy Dieslin from AAUW, and they will be giving 30-second remaining warnings and then a hard stop. So our candidates will watch them for time will be of the essence, so we're going to we'll stop right on time. So we will start with, we'll go alphabetically by last name. So we'll begin the openings with Angela Campbell.
Sorry, thank you. Good evening, my name is Angela Campbell. I'd like to thank the Ely Rotary Club and the Ely branch of the American Association of University Women. I have lived in the Ely area for over 30 years and have been a resident of the city of Ely for 20. I'm the mother of 2 adult children and 5 grandchildren. I established the A.K. Campbell Company Development Company. Since moving to Ely, I have been honored to serve the community as a member of several local boards and committees, including 9 city commissions, 5 community boards, and a member of 8 civic clubs. When I was born, I am presently serve on the Ely City Council and 8 city commissions. When I was sworn into the elected office, I agreed to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and discharge faithfully the duties of the office of City Council of the City of Ely, Minnesota, to the best of my ability, so help me God. This is my favorite quote I keep on my desk. Keep one hand on the Bible and the other on the city. You can learn a lot from both and be successful at it. I want to keep the Ely citizens informed and be transparent at all times. The mayor is head of the city. He or she speaks for both the council and community as a whole. It is the presiding officer and a regular member of the council. Ely is home rule charter. The city has a weak mayor and a strong council. The mayor serves as the city's representative before the Minnesota legislature, federal agencies, and local governments. I have the trust, experience, patience, and dedication to serve in the office as mayor. Most meetings and events. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. And next we'll hear from Jerome.
Hi. As most of you know, I'm Jerome DeBeltz. I've lived in Ely my whole life except for 1 year, which is a long time. I'll be 70 this coming year. I have 3 boys and I have 8 grandchildren. They all live in Minneapolis area. I've been serving on the Ely City Council. This is my 28th year. I've served on, I don't want to name commissions or committees because I've served on pretty much everyone in the city since I've been here. I've been acting mayor a couple times. I've worked hard for the city, and I think what's important when I look at the mayor of the community, you have to be a person who wants to volunteer and do things for the city. I've been volunteering for Well, probably since I've been 25, so probably about 44 years. And I've been involved in high school with football and track, and college with football, and I've been Blue Line president, and I've worked as an umpire for baseball. I've run the softball association for over 25 years. And so I've been involved in the community trying to get things accomplished. And I think it's important that or anybody who wants to be the mayor or anything on the city council has to be involved with community, okay? I just think, you know, people would feel good if they came up here and volunteered. They'd learn about the job we do and things, and I feel it's important that the mayor can talk to people, and I can talk to people real well.
Thank you, and now we'll hear from Paul Kess.
Thank you, Linda. I want to thank the organization for putting this on, and I encourage people in the audience watching, not here, present physically, but to pay attention to what we all have to say. I think we all bring good ideas, and the people of Ely will be well served by sorting us out. First of all, I want to say, though, I see a bright future for Ely. We're a dynamic, energetic community, and we have lots of things going. Consider the recent projects. We renovated City Hall and built a new library. We're continually upgrading our streets, like Patterson, James, 8th Avenue, 17th Avenue, and we continue to do that to be a modern community. We're busy building trails and a new trailhead, and we're building a new VA clinic. We're active in the airport as it expands. So we have a lot of projects going, I'm sure, and a big new water plant coming. Ely is a dynamic, energetic community. We have some challenges. I'll identify those later. By background, I'm currently on the airport, budget, lodging tax, sanitation, the Range Association, and I'm vice chair of the EEDA, or the EDA. I look forward to bringing my experiences and background to service the citizens of Ely. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul, and now we'll hear from Heidi Omerza.
Greetings, I'm Heidi Omerza, and I'd like to thank the AAUW and also Rotary for sponsoring this, and all of you viewers for watching. I believe in Ely. I always have. It's why we moved here many years ago. Behind my belief is my integrity, my actions, hard work, dedication, preparedness, experience, reliability, consistency, and common sense. 14 years ago, when I was elected to the Ely City Council, I took that belief to the state level and also to the national level. I had the honor and privilege of representing Ely on 3 boards that I became president of, something that, by the way, no one else has ever done. I had the privilege of sitting right next to the White House and talking about Ely, Minnesota. That was an experience. I got to sit at 3 tables in 3 rooms that very few people have gotten to sit at and talk about Ely. That is something that is important. And the reason why it's important is because I got to explain to different people about what Ely is and what it means and why small cities and why Ely is important, not only in this state, but also in this nation. I have also served on various boards, committees, and commissions in Ely. I also still volunteer my time everywhere. And I'm excited to see the growth that is happening in Ely right now, even during these trying times. Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi, and then we will wind it up with Roger Scraba.
Thank you, Linda, and I want to thank the AAUW and the Rotary Club. Appreciate putting this on. I was mayor. I've been elected mayor 3 terms, city council 2 terms. I have obviously I have the experience, a lot of things that Councilmember Kess brought up. I was part of before I lost my last mayoral election. The other thing, I was on the airport commission for 9 years. I just timed out. After 9 years, you can't re-up. One of the things I really, truly understand about Ely is some of the questions that you all were going to ask about, like, do you just bring your ideas up there? And one of the things I found when I was elected mayor, I represent all people, not just my ideals. And there's been a lot of times when I voted, against something that I believed in, but it passed, well, then I carry it. I have to. That's my job, whether I like it or not. So I've had the experience to do those sort of things. Currently, some of the things I volunteer for, I'm chairman of St. Louis County Planning Commission, member of Board of Adjustment. I'm the trail administrator for a snowmobile club, president of Club Mesabi for the bike trail that comes into Ely. I'm on the honor guard. What else? Oh, every now and then, I took a little sabbatical from the St. Anthony's Catholic Church. I was an usher. And I just love representing Ely. And I, too, have been in Washington, D.C. I brought back $1.5 million for the garage, but I had to give up $500,000 to Duluth. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. And now we'll be beginning our very enjoyable question portion of the evening. And these questions will be asked by Kay Vandervoort up front from AAUW and Jeff Sundell with Ely Rotary. And this is how it's going to work tonight. In order to cover as many questions as possible, we'll ask each candidate a different question. And you'll have 1.5 minutes to answer the question. Don't need to use all the time if you don't choose to. And then after finishing each round of questions, each candidate will have the option of taking 30 seconds to respond with an opposing or a different point of view or to add some additional information. And then our timers will be giving the 30-second warning again. And so let's begin with some questions. I think from Jeff Sundell will begin.
Thank you, Linda. The first question is for Angela. Angela, what do you feel are the primary issues the City of Ely needs to address in the next 5 years?
I believe we need to address the changing climate of Ely as far as the pandemic, to get over the pandemic and get our stores open and our businesses up and running. I believe we have a good handle on the budget for the city. I think that the areas of interest that I personally am involved in, I'm involved in the HRA, Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and moving forward with the change in the renovations that are going to take place. We also have our trailhead projects and our West End development projects in front of us. We have the areas of, building a community, for new arrivals and families. I think that those are good areas of interest to start working on for a 5-year plan.
Thank you, Angela. The next question is for Roger. Roger, what is your long-term vision for what you want this community to be in 20 years? And what would your priorities be in order to lay the foundations for that vision?
Thank you, Jeff. Point of order, Linda. I thought we were going to have an opportunity to speak after each question. Sorry, Jeff. And could you help me with that?
After each round of questions, you will have 30 seconds to respond to anything you've heard so far.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, Jeff, my 20-year vision for the city of Ely, part of the example of where we are and how we got here, right now we have businesses that are really doing well, and I use Razor's Edge, Steger Mucklucks, Wintergreen, and and other businesses, and like Zoop Store is moving now, and there's some movement of, well, Howard's, what's going to happen in our community. I think it's imperative that we work with our established local businesses and help them. And I mean, Razor's Edge could become a Gerber Foods for all, you know, if we help them, they may get bigger. So I'm all for helping those sorts of businesses. I'm looking at Ely transitioning from kind of a retirement home for a lot of folks. I'd like to see, thank you. I'd like to see our community become more involved with the fiber optics so we can get the young people up here so that we can have more people in our, and I think this pandemic has helped us see that. I think it's opened our eyes about bringing people in their homes to work, and I see that as becoming, and also, I also look at copper nickel mining as part of that solution to our 20-year problem, and also working on a capital improvement plan for our community, which we have set in place for many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Incidentally, these questions were brought forth not from the two people asking the questions, but from our various groups. And I just wanted to make that clear. Heidi, you have the next question. A significant share of job development now and in the future will rely on access to high-speed broadband. What will you do to ensure broadband gets to Ely and the surrounding area?
Well, what have I done? What do I continue to do? It continues to be on our radar. It has been the #1 priority for EEDA for the last. It has been the #1 priority.
20 years.
Yeah, I chuckle because Roger and I have been talking about it. It was my first meeting that I sat through. It is currently being actually advertised for a downtown loop. It is happening as we speak. That is something that I have spoken with every legislator that I can remember talking to. That is the #1 priority. It is the great equalizer. And I continue to talk about it. I was at a meeting at the school, and they're like, what do you mean you don't have broadband? So I will continue to talk about it with every legislator I know, and it's the funding that is the mechanism that continues to be our Achilles heel. I want to label Ely as a remote regional center, and I think that will help make us more known because they don't understand the unique issues that Ely has to offer, and we just need to continue to talk about it. And it's just not me. It is everybody needs to speak in unison. It needs to be the school. It needs to be the businesses. It needs to be the chamber. It needs to be the council. It needs to be everyone speaking in one loud voice from Ely to say, this is what we need to survive and to thrive. And we're going to continue to do that. And it will be the downtown, and then it'll just start branching out. That's what I'll do and continue to do.
Thank you, Heidi. Paul, the next question is for you. Small towns across the country have struggled to remain vibrant in a changing economy. Many have succeeded primarily by finding a specific niche for their community. Examples would be history, scientific study, antiques, the arts. Do you see a specific niche for Ely to focus its development and marketing efforts on, and how would you accomplish it?
Thanks. No, that's a great question because Ely's had a niche for a long time. We're the canoe capital of the world, and I think millions of people know about Ely for that reason. I think as we have in the past, we need to continue to develop that niche and use it to our advantage, not necessarily for people going into the wilderness, but living here and around the wilderness because our quality of life is so high. And so that's our niche. And we have a new tourism board, really re-energized with Cindy Smyka there. And I think that we'll have the opportunity to do great things marketing the community. But I think that's our niche.
Thank you, Paul. Jerome, this next question is for you. What do you see as the mayor's role in helping the citizens and businesses in Ely thrive in the midst of a pandemic?
Well, #1, first of all, I see that we have to be careful with our people. We don't want to lose anybody. We don't want to see anybody get sick. We want people to survive this till we can get the vaccine and stuff and everybody done with it. And people are healthy again. Number two, we have to make sure we're helping the small businesses and things like we have been doing, giving them money and stuff to buy things to help against the pandemic. And we've given a lot of money out that we've been given to give. And I think that's very important. I also believe that we ought to keep the city informed, all the people informed of what we've done and how they can, you know, join in and help out. I think people want to help during times like this, and they don't know what to do, and I think we can show them what they can do to help make this a better place and to help get through this together. I really believe that the citizens of Ely really care about their community, and I really believe that they work hard for the community, and I really believe that they want to make the community a better place. And I think if we just talk to them and make them understand that, the communication part is probably the most important.
Thank you, Jerome. And now, for a response or rebuttal, the first person who will have an opportunity in 30 seconds is Angela.
The city of Ely depends on job growth in tourism and mining. Tourism draws visitors from around the world to experience the BWCA. I vision Ely to become a conference center city. Mining is tomorrow's future. Mining's world-class deposits are here and provide jobs. And thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Roger, you'll have 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you. And helping businesses that want to invest in our community. And they don't have to be anything particular, tourism, timber, taconite, mining, anything. People that want to invest in us, we should learn to invest with them. Job development with the broadband, it's so important. It is. Grand Ely Lodge called me one day and said, how do we get fiber to our premise? We want to have bigger functions. So we try to get fiber there. We can't get it there. Sad.
Thank you, Roger. And now to you, Heidi, you have 30 seconds.
So some places we missed. Education. We can't forget that we have partners that we always forget about or we seem to miss. We have VCC and we have the school district. We always need to partner with them, and we have a great airport. We need to keep them in the loop always. Our healthcare systems. We have a great healthcare campus, and we need to grow them as well. They have helped us so many times. And I just wrote an article about this that was published. Childcare. We need childcare desperately. And last but not least, we need a workforce.
Thank you, Heidi. And Paul, you now have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
I'll say it again. In the short term, overcoming the pandemic is paramount. We also need to look at housing. We all know how hard it is to find housing in the community, but that's, in a sense, fairly short term. But most importantly, we need to control our budget and keep our taxes low. I've been a leader in arguing for low taxes. We have a low-income community with limited market values, and so that becomes a priority.
Thank you, Paul. And Jerome, you now have an opportunity for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think one of the things I look at is we have to help the businesses realize what we have for them. We've had small business loans and things to give to them and stuff like that. Some come forward and get it, some do not. We should involve the businesses in the community to get involved with us and try to envision how they can use the money we have available and how they can get draw a bigger crowd of people and how to advertise better.
Thank you, Jerome. This next block of questions will be asked by my counterpart, Kay.
So Heidi, we'll start with you. When a business determines it will move to or stay in a community, the quality of life indicators are strongly considered. What key issues have you identified for improvement in those issues? that would make Ely even more attractive to prospective businesses if those issues were addressed? And what is your time frame for action?
So quality of life issues. So we have an economic developer. As a council and as a mayor, we are the policy setters, and we have an economic developer who helps us with all of those issues. But if you look at studies, quality of life, if you look at it, they're all the toys and all the things that we have. That's why Ely is so sellable. We live in a playground. We have been working very hard to make sure that we have wonderful parks and great amenities. The trailhead system that is now getting started and going, and all the trails that are going to be meeting at the new building that will be going up very soon. I'm very excited about. We have a great paths to walk on all around Ely. I think working more on our walkability is going to be key. I think getting the park down the little pocket park downtown will also be another great amenity that will be forthcoming soon. And also beautifying our downtown has been something that nobody quite can put their finger on, but really has been something that other cities have been copying and has been a wonderful addition to making Ely just a beautiful place. So those are just a few of the amenities that we have that has made Ely just a great place, and something that I'm really proud of that this council has backed and has been an intricate part of, and that we partnered with other organizations.
Paul, the next question is for you. There is a concern among many residents that the relationship with local indigenous populations may have been frayed since the calls for a boycott of Fortune Bay Casino. As mayor, what would you do to repair those relationships and address the concerns of indigenous populations?
I remembered. After the Fortune Bay discussion, the council took a strong stand, reaffirmed our commitment to diversity. We have it posted here. I think that that's an important part of our quality of life here. I personally believe in diversity. My family's diverse. I taught at the community college for 40 years and appreciated a diverse student body. I can appreciate a diverse community, and I think we should continue to be welcoming to the community. If there's any issues that have surfaced, in one place or another, it hasn't surfaced here. I think we have a fairly welcoming community, and I would pledge that we would continue to do so.
Jerome, the next question is for you. As mayor, what are the 3 key goals that you would want to accomplish in your first year?
Well, first of all, I'd like to see the council and the mayor work hard to get more jobs here. Whether it's, the businesses that are already here or with other businesses coming in. Second of all, I want to make sure our streets are good shape. There are very many streets that are pretty bad shape, but we have a good work crew with the city, and they have done a great job in working on the streets, getting them in shape and getting them ready to be, put tar down. And thirdly, I would like to make it so we communicate better with people who feel they can't talk to us. I think people sometimes don't want to say anything, but I think we should communicate better and make this community, want to come and talk to us, come and join committees, come and work with us, and see how we can move forward.
Thanks. And Jerome, Angela is next. If you could change one thing about in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
Our zoning codes and ordinances are so important to the city. They are the governance of our city. And I would seek to enforce the ordinances. And recently we had blight ordinances. We're dealing with the noise ordinances. we have a concern, you know, for a community that has a lifestyle desire to live peacefully and comfortably in a beautiful surroundings.
And Roger, the city's values statement says that the city of Ely is committed to a community that welcomes and values diversity. We will work to be a place where all people, citizens, and visitors alike will feel safe and confident that the city of Ely respects the rights and dignity of all people. How have you or how would you work to ensure that this value statement is a reality?
First of all, our staff represents our community within the community, so they either have been trained or will be trained so that they follow that example. We all should always follow that example. I look. When I was mayor last time, we had an opportunity to choose a new counselor, unlike the the way it's done now. And when it came down to, there was, for me, it was easy, you know, like, I think Heidi was the only female on the council, and we had an opportunity, and I'm like, I want a diverse council. I want more people out here with different ideas. So I'm open. I'm very open. To Paul's question, what happened with the Native Americans? I mean, each person has to pick and choose their path, and if they're not friendly towards others, then they shouldn't be in government, in my opinion, because you represent everybody. I mean, everybody, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to make those decisions because it's kind of like, do I really feel that way? Well, you have to put your personal feelings away, and you have to look at the community because you're representing the community. So, again, to follow up, I would make sure that everyone that represents our community understands what those values are. Thank you.
In this round of questions, we ask about quality of life, diversity, goals in the first year, zoning, and budgeting. Each of you has up to 30 seconds to contradict what an opponent said or add additional ideas on those issues. And we will go first with Heidi for 30 seconds.
Just really quick about something that we need to have for a goal. A huge, when I say huge, I mean a large part of our funding is local government aid, and we need it. So one of my top goals would be to ensure that we do not lose any of our local government aid, and every year when the legislators get into office, it is threatened, and this year it has been threatened once again. So that LGA.
And Paul?
Sure, I'd like to talk about a little bit about the first year. I think there's some things we can do to improve the quality of life, which I think is important for potential businesses and for the people who live here. First of all, I think we need to continue, as I said, to control our budget and our taxes and look for more LGAs, otherwise we'll be, or not more, maintain what we have, or we'll be really have difficult straits as a community. I'd like to see annual reports issued by the departments, and they'll have those published in the community. I do think that communication is important.
Well, when Paul was speaking about Fortune Bay and things like that, I have an aunt who's Native American. I all have a lot of friends who are Native American. I grew up with them, and some of them are best friends. I think the people, they understood that we really didn't, it wasn't us that felt that way. I think they knew that we really cared about them, and I really care about my friends and things. And I think people have to understand that sometimes statements are made that probably shouldn't be made, but they still support us, and they still, like us, and I think that's the way we get along.
Angela?
I'm going to talk about diversity. Concerning the immigrants, that settled in the Ely area over 100 years ago. Ely was founded on diversity. People coming from different parts of the world with different cultures to begin their new lives in Ely became a melting pot. I believe the diversity and encourage more diversity as new jobs are created in the Ely area, as Ely grows due to people moving out of the cities.
And Roger.
Thank you. Two of my grandparents came over on the boat and settled in Ely, Minnesota. So I understand diversity and I understand immigration laws. So one of the things I wanted to speak a little more on are the three goals. One of them is housing. When I was mayor last time, we built the housing over on Washington Street, and it's so important we do that again. They're full. There's a waiting list. I've had people come to me as a non-elected official. When are you guys going to build me more housing? I want housing. So I think that's a priority, and beyond a priority. The other thing is working with the school and sports. Sorry.
Yeah, there's just not quite enough time, right? I will. Yeah, I know. I'll turn it over to Jeff now.
Thank you, Kay. Paul, this next question is for you. What are your plans to bring community development money to Ely, and for what projects?
Well, we need to continue to look for the West End Development Project. That's important not only for the trailhead and the development of the housing in the western portion there in Ely, but it allows or encourages the hospital to expand and solidify their base. And so getting that money, it requires activity at the legislature, looking for federal and county support. The IRRB is a very active supporter of our projects. So I think bringing those kinds of resources to our developing projects and needs is what I'll focus on.
Thank you, Paul. Jerome, this next question is for you. What is your vision for the vacant community center building?
Well, that's an interesting question. The community center is, well, it's very important to me because my uncle was on the city council when they built it, and my uncle John D. And you know, they put a lot of work into that building, and they did a lot. They did a lot to get that building. You're talking about the community center, correct? Yes, they did a lot to make that building like it was, and I grew up there and went to dances when I was a kid, and we went to parties for the kids and everything else, and I remember all them good times. I would like to see something get in there that's going to create jobs or something for the community, and so people can make a nice living wage and they can, you know, raise a family here, because that's very important. The living wage is important to people, because if you can't make enough money, you sure can't raise a family. So I would like to see us do something like that. I'm hoping we can get somebody who's interested in things like that. So the other thing I think is we got to get somebody who really wants to improve the building, fix it up, has the money to do it. And I think, yeah, I think that's would be important. And so I think when we move forward, we got to hopefully find somebody who really wants to do something with that building.
Thank you, Jerome. Angela, next question is for you. Can you identify a few infrastructure projects you feel are important enough to go ahead with, even if it means an increase in taxes?
It's always roads and sidewalks. And I would say that those projects are on the priorities of the city moving forward.
Thank you, Angela. Roger, this next question is for you. More and more cities are converting to green energy sources in their buildings and vehicles. What steps do you feel Ely needs to take, and on what timeline?
I would look at hydrogen and propane for the vehicles. to see what the longevity is on that. It's been tried in other places, Aspen, all these places, and they all revert back to fossil fuels. I know it's a lot of maintenance, there's a lot of issues with it. The electric vehicles are the way we're going to end up going, it looks like, right now in the future. So I would look at a short timeline. Let's look into it. Let's start moving our, especially if we keep our vehicles in our community. They're not going to put on 300 miles in a day, so they can go on a charge. And it just makes kind of the new way of looking at those issues, the types of issues. So I don't have a problem with that. I see us doing some of the solar energy in our community more than others. I've helped install several. One of the jobs I did on Lake Vermilion, we put 96 4x8 panels on, and it is amazing the amount of energy that those panels do. And again, that goes into where do you find the funding for that? That's where you do the lobbying. That's when you go down to the state legislature and you talk to people and you go to the IRRB and you find the matching funds. The key to getting projects is to take the money that the community has, put it into the pot, go to CDBG, look, I'm matching this. Now you take that and go to the IRRB, then you take that down to the legislature, and then you get more, and then you have a project. Then you come back and you get the project done. We've been doing that for how many years? I mean, started a little before me, but that's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Heidi, this next question is for you. There is a tremendous divide between the pro and anti-mining groups in town. What can the City Council do to heal the divide so that the two groups can work more effectively together for the betterment of the community?
Thanks. I think there's a couple things to do. First off, agree to disagree. That's number one. We will never agree on that. That's step one. Step two, let's talk about the things we agree on, because there are more things we agree on than we don't agree on. And the first thing is that we all want to move Ely forward. We might want to move it forward in a different direction, but we want to move it forward. And the number one thing that we all agree on is broadband. We discovered that. So those are and what else do we agree upon? You know, we can agree on making downtown Ely look nice. We can agree on working on our trails. We can agree on maybe just our walking trails or our bike trails, but we can agree on that. So let's sit down, let's all get in the same room, and let's talk, because eyeball to eyeball, maybe 6 feet apart, but eyeball to eyeball works better than he said, she said, and then getting things all mixed up and confused, and then before you know it, it's blown out of proportion. And will we all ever be BFFs? I have a 16-year-old daughter, you can tell. No, but we can still be congenial. This is a small community, and what gets out is not good, but we need to get along, and we need to all know that we represent Ely, and what gets out is not ever the best.
Thank you, Heidi. In this round of questions, we asked about the environment, understanding the needs of the community, infrastructure, the community center, and community development. Each of you now has 30 seconds to contradict what an opponent said or add additional ideas to those ideas. We will start with you, Paul.
Thanks. You know, I think Ely's always been a community of division and controversy, whether it's the boundary waters or mining. I think as a city council and as mayor, I would try to lead by example. I grew up in a time when people respected other people's opinions, and people have strong opinions on some of these issues. I think we always need to be able to respect, listen, and encourage diverse points of view.
Thank you, Paul. And now, Jerome, you'll have 30 seconds.
Well, the only thing I want to talk about is I think when we talk about the environment, Ely has probably the cleanest water in the state of Minnesota. It's been shown a map from people, and it is the cleanest water, and they said, you know, we do a great job up here. I think we've had mining here for many, many years around the area, and we still have the cleanest water. So I think people really care about their environment, and I think people will be really careful if we get the other mining up here and make sure it doesn't hurt it.
Thank you, Jerome. And now, Angela, you have 30 seconds.
I'm going to speak about the community center. And it was the community center that I passionately stood before the city council and the city to save it. I'm a member of the Historic Preservation Commission, which was founded in 2012. I have had to abstain from voting on the community center because of my interest. I still have an interest in the community center. I see it as a focal point to the city of Ely. I see the block development that can include a hotel, the city center, and other amenities.
Thank you, Angela. And now, Roger, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Something about the divide in mining. I was mayor when Twin Metals first came to our community and helped set up that beautiful building down there and everything. I think what happened, and I've sat in the room with Becky Rum and all these folks, part of the issue is to deal with facts and just facts. And like, let's talk facts. Maybe there are facts that we don't know that other folks do, and are facts that other folks don't. And I think part of the problem is trusting the regulatory agencies. It's not about facts anymore, it's about the way I feel. And I really have to sit and think what we need to figure out how to make each other concede something, collaboration.
Thank you, Roger. And now, Heidi, you'll have 30 seconds.
Speaking of infrastructure and how much the city of Ely believes in clean water, we are about ready to spend $9.2 million on a wastewater treatment plant that so far has no funding. So we are in the process, because it got taken away, of trying to figure out how to do that. And I've been on the 2 or 3 Zoom meetings now trying to figure out how to do that with legislators.
We'll start our next round of questions, and this time our first question goes to Jerome. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put Ely on firmer financial footing?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question because we are pretty well on good financial footing right now. The city council has basically had funds put away that like we were supposed to, what the state told us, and we have the money and the funds available. And you gotta have at least 50% of what your annual budget is, so in case you need it, because in case, you don't get your money from the state, or your, LGA. I think secondly, we gotta help create jobs here, and financially, that'll create better housing prospects, more taxes, and that'll help the city be able to do more things for the community. And I think thirdly, we gotta make sure that the people in Ely, like I said before, are making a good living so they can stay here, raise their kids, because I know at my age, I just, I'm not gonna be here forever, and somebody else is gonna be here, and I wanna make sure that they can make a decent living and be able to move on here in the city.
Thank you. And Angela, many residents feel that Ely lacks adequate events, activities, and opportunities for youth. How would you hope to address that issue?
It's a very good question. And I believe that we already have in place, we have many, many nonprofits that are working to engage our youth, to bring a focus to the events that our youth like to do. So I believe that we're doing a good job of engaging our youth in our city.
Thank you. And Roger, it's no secret that reasonably priced rental units are very hard to find in Ely. As mayor, how would you work to provide a solution to this problem?
Going back to what I said before about housing, we have to be careful. If you have all government housing, private industry won't come here. So we have to work private-public partnerships. And I would like to see our community build an apartment building with a developer and help them with the infrastructure costs so that we do have, this is, when we throw numbers around, $850 a month, $1,000 a month, people are $1,000 a month. That's what a house is going for in Ely now. And I'm shocked at it. You know, I didn't know that that's what it is. But can you get a brand-new apartment and live in a brand-new apartment for $1,000 a month? If we could, that would be wonderful. We could get some of these younger folks coming back that want to work in our community. So how do we do that? We have to sit down with developers and find out. When I was mayor before, we went to Minneapolis, talked to developers constantly. They want to make money. That's their job. And sometimes you have to put your community's money out there to get their money and to get their business. So it's not going to be a one person doing that. It's going to be a council. The mayor may go out and recruit this person or hire our economic developer and go get that person to come here. And then we as a community make those decisions, how much we want to spend of our money for housing and how important is that. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi, there have been concerns that Ely lacks adequate mental health, indoor recreation, and childcare services. Do you have any specific ideas about what you would do to provide for services that meet those or other gaps in service for our residents?
We are very fortunate to have nonprofits that fill a lot of those gaps. As a government agency, that is something those are services that the city does not necessarily provide, but we partner and the county provides a lot of those services. But right now, the school is filling a lot of those gaps for us for school-age children, especially during these COVID times. We're also fortunate that the hospital is filling in as well. But these are moments that, when it comes to indoor activities and things like that, we just need to think outside the box. I mean, COVID is not helping anyone. And if you look on different websites, we have resources on our website to direct you to a different website if you need help. And right now, we're all doing the best we can and encouraging people to look out for one another. At the school, that's what we're doing. Look for signs, and if you know of anybody that needs help, to look for to help them, which is not the greatest answer in the world. As a city, we just have them go to the website.
Thank you. And Paul, the next question is for you. What plans do you have to improve Ely's infrastructure, and what is your estimated time frame?
Ely's had a fairly aggressive infrastructure problem for program for quite some time. We not only continue to do streets and sidewalks, we continue to maintain the airport and support our partners like VCC as they build their expansions, as we did with 17th Avenue. So I think our infrastructure program is fairly solid. What I think I'd like the new council to do is to look at how we might set different priorities in times of COVID, or even in times of trying to fill service gaps, and look at how we might reassess our need to do physical capital improvements and try to build human capital. Those are things that ECR, Ely Community Resources, does well. I'm not sure that they want to expand, but as we identify service gaps for the people and the youth in our community, I think those kinds of organizations are the ones that the city should try to support.
Thank you. In the next round of questions, or in this round, we ask about financial stability, youth opportunities, affordable housing, gaps in service and infrastructure. Each of you has up to 30 seconds to contradict what an opponent said or add additional ideas on the issue. Jerome, we're going to call on you first.
Well, when we're talking about our infrastructure, we got to remember we got an excellent city crew that works hard to get the things ready to put the tar down and everything else. They've been working hard and they work well together. I think we just give it to Harold, who's the head of the departments, and Mike. They do a good job of getting them people going, and I think Ely is moving forward, and I see a lot of streets that were terrible before are really getting good now, so.
Thank you. Angela, you're next.
I now chair the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and I want to also give credit to Mayor Novak, because his real passion is the West End development. And as we move forward with the Housing and Redevelopment Association, we have the monies and the partnerships to make this happen.
Thank you. Roger?
Thank you. Yes, mental health, one of the issues I remember when I was on the mayor, I was over at Grand Ely Lodge, John Fossum came in and said, you know, the numbers came out, Ely had the highest amount of mental health people in the Iron Range in treatment. And everyone kind of snickered, and I raised my hand and I said, that's wonderful. Part of the problem with mental health is identifying it and treating it. The more that do, the better community you have. So, I mean, I'm all in favor of some way helping folks that have get that stigma off your back. It's okay to have problems. We can help. Thank you.
Heidi, you're next.
I forgot to talk about daycare. So daycare, very quickly, for daycare laws and regulations, they're used to big daycare centers. We're helping make at-home daycare regulations loosen up and more suitable for at-home daycares.
Thank you.
That's a statewide thing, not a local thing, though.
All right. And Paul?
But it helps.
You know, housing is a tough nut to crack, particularly subsidized housing. It's not just Ely, it's Minnesota, rural Minnesota, greater Minnesota. Our incomes are low, and the investment isn't justified by the rents you can charge. So it's a very tough thing to do. I would hope, though, that we could increase our quality of life enough to attract more jobs. Things like, well, first of all, continue to argue for LGA. If LGA goes away, our quality of life goes down, and it's much more difficult to attract housing.
Thank you. And now, Jeff.
Okay, this is the next block of questions, and the first question is for Jerome. In past candidate forums, many visionary projects have been proposed with the caveat that they could only be done if funding comes from somewhere else. What city improvements or projects do you feel are worthy of an increase in tax?
Well, first of all, I don't like to raise taxes. There are a lot of people living on, you know, just their income, and they can't make it by paying more taxes. But if it was to bring in more, we'd like to maybe invest in some of the businesses in the community so we can upgrade the businesses. And so when people go shopping and stuff, they have better things to get into and they can pick things out. I also believe that a lot of people would like to, you know, see their sidewalks in better shape, because in the winter, a lot of times it's really tough on the elderly, and I'm pretty much right there right now. So we want to make sure people are safe when they go up the streets and things. I think that's probably two of the most important things I see. I also believe that we work together, and as a council, this has been a really good council, and as a council, we've done a lot of good things to make Ely a better place, and I think we just got to keep moving forward.
Thank you, Jerome. The next question is for Angela. Many Ely residents and visitors have pets. Would you advocate for there to be a city dog park and/or enforcement of any and all pet ordinances? Why or why not, and how much of a priority do you place on this issue?
Bingo. A dog park is essential. And I have been to dog parks in major cities, and I don't own a dog. I go to socialize. I think that our visitors and our residents are advocating for a dog park. And of course, we want to make sure our dogs are licensed. We want respectful, partners in planning this dog park, but I'm for it.
Thank you, Angela. And the next question is for you, Roger. What is the mayor's responsibility in ensuring that COVID restrictions are adhered to in Ely? And do you support fines or incarcerations for individuals and or business owners who do not adhere to those restrictions?
I think we follow the state's lead, and to fine people for what's going on right now would, in my opinion, would be wrong. We're not at that juncture, especially now. Right now, it's the numbers just don't. It doesn't prove itself out to be so draconian. Do I believe there's an issue? Absolutely. And I think in the beginning, when this happened, we took the right steps. But somewhere between now and the beginning, we've not followed up in a lot of different ways. And personally, I don't even want to go into them because I just get so frustrated talking about it. It's like, you know, I don't understand why we give all the power to one person. I believe that we govern by legislation. It would be like if an issue came up in Ely and the council said, okay, mayor, take it over. And then the mayor never relinquishes power. We wouldn't want to be that way. But as far as fining people and banishing, doing things like that, I don't think you win with the issue. I think education, show people in the beginning, hey, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And in November, it was an issue. People woke up, saw how bad it was, and reacted. And now it's on its way down. The vaccinations are working. People's with the distance is working. So I think we learned a valuable lesson, an incredible lesson, and I hope we continue to keep our eyes and ears open on learning how to deal with pandemics.
Thank you, Roger. Heidi, this next question is for you. As a council member, you voted for a resolution opposing the Prove It First moratorium on sulfide mining in the Boundary Waters. What factors influenced your decision, and how did you ascertain that your vote truly reflected the opinion of the majority of your constituents?
So I did vote for it first. When I read about it, and I did my research, I voted for it because it was one more layer. We already have the MPCA, we already have the DNR, and this was yet more. And there is already a lot of steps and regulations along the way, and it seemed like one more layer. And how I made my judgment, it was basically, yes, I did get a lot of emails both ways. And when you start getting a lot of emails both ways, you need to dig deep and think, how did Ely vote? How do I vote? And basically it comes down to, I don't sit and think, okay, I got so many emails for, so many emails against, but it's my opinion of what do I think is best for Ely. Because I'm not going to take a Facebook poll of how I should vote, because basically people vote me in for what my opinion is. They trust my judgment. That's my belief. So that's why I voted the way I voted. And there, you can go back, and every time I voted, that is how I have always voted. Not just about mining, but about many different votes. To be perfectly honest, that's why I didn't vote our current mayor in at the last time. That's why, I could go back several times. I'm the same person all the time. I vote the same way. My record shows it.
Thank you, Heidi. And Paul, this question is for you. City expenses increase every year. What are your ideas for tax increases, budget cuts, or other options to meet city needs in equitable ways?
Well, I think it's important that the city focus on providing basic services. When we asked earlier about, what project would be worth raising taxes for, I would be willing to consider those if they provide stronger basic services. So, for example, a water plant might require some tax increases, not necessarily in the property tax, but in the rates that we charge people to use those services. But I think my whole focus has been to keep taxes low. We have a low-income community. We need to keep our budget under control. If we have to adjust, we should look at doing less capital projects and keeping our money focused on the basic services that the city provides.
Thank you, Paul. We now have come to our rebuttal response for this block. In the last round of questions, we asked about a vision, city expenses, a dog park, adhering to COVID restrictions, and the Prove It First resolution. Each of you has up to 30 seconds to contradict what an opponent said or add additional ideas on those issues. And Jerome, you have the first 30 seconds.
Well, I have to chuckle a little bit when you talk about a dog park because I take care of the softball fields, and there I see about 10 people walking dogs every time we're down there, right in the softball fields and things like that. Yeah, we basically do need a dog park, but I think we're going to have to get some person who is really interested in doing something like that to come out and put some money forward, because the city only has so much money to go around, and we got to work on our streets and everything else. So I think a dog park is important, but we've got to get somebody else interested.
Thank you. And Angela, you have the next 30 seconds.
We do have, the interest in the dog park. And the one man that I can tell you about is Bruce. And he has done a great job of moving the dog park forward. But I want to just share with you that I will move the city from a small town vision to a big town vision. Prior to relocating to Ely, I resided in New York City and Washington, D.C. I built relationships with influencers and government agencies. Many of these individuals remain business and personal friendships today. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And Roger, you now have 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was just curious how many people want to raise taxes for a dog park, because that's not in the budget now, so you have to raise taxes or cut something. What are you willing to do? But, looking at tax increases, I could pander and say, I want to raise taxes so our employees can make more money, and then I'll get all the votes. But realistically, we have to keep in mind one of our largest expenses are our employees and the benefits that they receive. So we always have to keep that when you're negotiating, and it's part of our community.
Thank you, Roger. And Heidi, you now have 30 seconds.
Every year a dog park, I chair Park, I chair Park and Rec. I've been on Park and Rec since I started on council. Every year dog park comes up. Every year we have interested individuals, and there's never been any follow through. And then you see how many people actually have dog licenses. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the interested parties. And Park and Rec will always listen to interested parties who want to bring forth ideas for a dog park.
Thank you, Heidi. And now, Paul, you have 30 seconds.
About it. There is one other category of projects that I might consider raising taxes for. If a developer or somebody came forward with a proposal to create more jobs, I would think about that, because that provides payback to the city. In a sense, raising taxes to do something isn't important, but to somehow better and get pay and create a greater payback to repay the taxes or increase the taxes that we collect, I'd consider that, but I'd still be pretty skeptical.
Thank you, Paul. And now Kay is going to handle the final block of questions.
And this time, we are going to start with Roger.
Didn't
This is
think
your
I'd ever get
time
to be
shine,
first.
right? What actions can constituents count on you to take to secure new and support existing businesses in the community? What examples of your past actions on job development and job security can you provide?
I think when we, as a community, sold the property to Twin Metals, we got full market value. I mean, we didn't have to reduce prices. We didn't have to do any of that, and they're paying taxes on it. That's a plus. That's a big deal. When I look at businesses, and I use Razor's Edge as an example because it's such a dynamic company and how many people they hire. And it's a locally built company, like Steger Mucklucks. What Patty did is phenomenal. And we work, when I was on the council, we worked with them in the business park. We constantly try to help these folks. You know, the rules were no trailers. Well, why not? Well, they're unsightly. Patty wants a trailer. Patty, you want a trailer? Let's have you a trailer. We're working with folks all the time. Part of the issue that I see coming up is and Heidi touched on it, the daycare, the regulations. I mean, if somehow our communities can make their own regulations, if the AAU or the building next across from the elementary playground wants to become a daycare center and it's zoned residential, I think we should be looking at Harvey Street as a transition zoning. We're looking at commercial, residential transition. Let's find a way to put that building into a purpose so it can be a daycare next to the school. How appropriate. I mean, that's how I like to look at projects. Again, with the school, we have to work with the school. They are a taxing entity. When they raise taxes, it hurts our constituency. Not hurts, I should say, it costs them more. So when we go to say, I want to raise taxes for this, they're looking at, sorry, thank you. You know the deal. Thank you.
There's just not enough time. Heidi, we're going to ask you the next question. And what would you like to see done with the vacant community center building?
I would like to see it sold and on the tax rolls. That's what I would like to see done. I sat on the committee. It took me a while to be convinced that the library needed to move out of it, to be perfectly honest. But in the end, I'm thrilled that the library is where it is, and it needs to be sold, and we need to get it on the tax rolls, and we need jobs in there. That's what needs to happen, and I am pleased that now there's a lot more interest in it, and we have someone listing it, and we're working on our EEDA priorities next month, so that will be on that list and probably move up, so on the list of our priorities.
Thank you. And Paul, share an experience where you coordinated different views or approaches for a successful outcome.
Certainly. I was the president of the Range Association of Municipalities and Schools for 2 years. This council was at a time when they were considering withdrawing from RAMS. And over the years, I had been involved with RAMS and saw how valuable it is that we work together. The motto is one range, one voice. But we were considering withdrawing from that. So I volunteered to be on the RAMS board and then chose to seek their presidency, which I did for the maximum of 2 years. I was very proud of the fact that I helped bring that organization through some tough times. And this is a group of disparate individuals. They come from all over the range, from different backgrounds, different organizations, municipal and schools. And so I use my talents to bring that group back together, and it's very successful now.
Thank you. Jerome, what can the city do to make sure we are meeting the needs of our senior citizens?
Well, first of all, I think when we have moved forward for senior citizens, a lot of them didn't want to own homes anymore. They wanted to have housing, but they couldn't get into low-cost housing or anything else. So on Washington Street, they built them houses, and a lot of people took them up, and they're full, and more people are looking for that. I think we got to try to get some more housing for the senior citizens. Also, we got to make sure we work with the IEEE and other organizations to help with senior citizens who want to work on their houses and stuff and make them, viable so they can, they can live there till they have to move. I think the senior citizens in Ely pretty much appreciate what's done, and I think maybe we got that bus that comes from Virginia and stuff, and they come here and they pick people up and give them rides to places, and we got to make sure we keep that going so the senior citizens of Ely can get around and do their shopping.
Thank you. And Angela, what is your long-term vision for ensuring Ely is a thriving community into the future?
My hope is that those partners, our local partners, our local development partners, the EEDA, the Ely Area Development Association, work together. And I know that in the long term, if we build a city, they will come. And that by that, I mean we need our infrastructure, we need our streets, our cityscape to be beautiful. Ely is a city that cares about their citizens. And we're losing sight of the good things that have taken place in Ely that are here, you know, our hospital, our college campuses, our schools, our business and Chamber of Commerce, our Veterans Memorial Park, our Veterans Medical Clinic, our Senior Center, our Ely Community of Churches, Ely State Theater. We have a great art community here and culture, Whiteside Park, and all the Ely events. So that's what's here, and we have a lot to offer. We're just getting ready, you know, for, you know, tourists to come and families to move here and individuals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In this section, we ask about the community center, vision for the community, and services to seniors. Each of you have up to 30 seconds to contradict what an opponent said or add additional ideas on the issue. And we will start with Roger.
Thank you. Again, Ely's future is, it takes leadership. I've had the leadership. I've been mayor for 3 terms, councilor for 2. I helped build a wastewater treatment plant that we're replacing now. Had 40-year loans on a 20-year plant, and now we're replacing it. And it's frustrating to watch what's happening, how it has to happen, and those are going to make really difficult decisions. I've lobbied MPCA, I've lobbied MnDOT, I've lobbied all these people to figure out, and I know where to go in St. Paul. I know the contacts, so I can help.
Thank you. And Heidi.
The future of Ely is bright. And to work together and to see where we need to go and what needs to happen, we need to make sure we know where our friends are and our agencies that we need to continue to grow with. We have a great economic developer. We need to make sure that we continue to use him. We have friends at the IRRB. We always pair with them, and we get funding with them and through them. We get loans through the CDBG. We need to use them as well.
It does. All right, Paul, we'll go to you next.
I think, like I said in the beginning, Ely is poised to have a bright future. I think that when I listed the projects that we're involved in, we'll continue to find and develop things that improve our quality of life. We'll work with our partners. I think that when we get through this pandemic, literally, we'll be off to the races.
All right, thank you. And next we will turn to Jerome.
Yeah, I totally agree that the pandemic is doing bad things for all the rest of the country like us and everything else. But one thing I have is I got experience on a council. It's my 28th consecutive year on a council. I always tell people I'm not sure if people like me or they're trying to keep me off the street. So what I basically feel that I've worked with a lot of different people in my time, a lot of different mayors, a lot of different councilors and everything else, and I feel that we as a council got to work together, which we have a real good council. We work well together. And I think we worked well together to get things accomplished, to make things better for community. When things come up, we work together and try to solve this issue. Okay, thank you.
It's okay. Thank you. Angela, we go to you next. For your rebuttal.
I'm going to pass. Thank you.
Okay. And now we turn it over to Linda.
That was amazing. Thank you all for your thoughtful answers, adhering to the time frame. We threw a lot at you, and I thought we learned a lot. So finally, I'm sure there's things that you still want to say, so each of you will get 2 minutes to do a concluding statement, a closing statement, and we will start in reverse order this time with Roger.
That 30 seconds, wow. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming and listening. One of the things that separates me from my friends and colleagues here are that I'm the only person not sitting in an elected seat. So when I'm elected mayor, it's over. We don't have to have another special election. We don't have to fill another seat. We don't have to spend $10,000 of the city's money. We can feel comfortable. And then next, can you believe this or not, but not this November, but next November, we'll have another election. So everyone has the same opportunity. And I want to bring that up because I talked to Harold and staff. It takes about $16,000 to run a normal election. A special election be around $8,000, somewhere in there. And then I'm asking, how much does the attorney cost? How much does staff time that you don't count cost? Because now, instead of doing a regular normal stuff, they have to do election stuff. So I'm estimating about $10,000. So I'd like to save the taxpayers $10,000 by them voting for me. And I think it's appropriate. I mean, I can follow, I have the leadership skills, I have relationships. I'm willing to, obviously, I want to step in and help this community at least till next November, where if someone else wants to run again, I'm always, whether I do again or not. But right now, I want to help. I really believe this community has somewhere to go. The biggest threat we have right now is local government aid. When I heard a Democrat from Minneapolis saying, we're going to cut local government aid, now I'm concerned. Because the Republicans always did, but there's always been a majority saying these communities need it. But now the other side is saying the same thing. I'm concerned. I have the ability and the time and the voice how to work in St. Paul and with these folks. So I really would appreciate people to vote for me, Roger Scraba, and I want to also add, I really, truly enjoy this job. It's a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. And that means Heidi will be next. 2 minutes.
I decided to run for council because I needed Ely to remain viable, not only for my children, but for my children's children, for the future of Ely. I'd just like to take a second and thank them. They had to sacrifice a lot for me to be here, for me to be sitting here at all these seats. And 3 of them are now gone. They actually have graduated from Ely High School, so I owe the school a lot, the school district a lot. And Elizabeth is now 16 and actually at a basketball game with her father, Tom, and I owe him a lot too. So thank you to all of them, to my family. I could not do this job without him and without his full support, all of their full support for me taking this next step. Also, the great staff that has been assembled here at Ely City Hall. We could not do everything that we do in this small city without them. It is amazing everything that we do, and I don't think that people are aware in this city how much we do because of them and all the hard work that they do. We get a lot of bang for our buck, let me tell you. If you talk to other cities around the state, they are amazed. I'd also like to take a quick moment to thank everybody who has helped me over the years. There are many people who have helped me, a lot of people sitting in this room, and to make me a better person, council member, and hopefully mayor real soon. Again, thank the Rotary and AAUW for sponsoring this forum. And I'd like to really make a point of saying that 14 years ago, I was the lone female voice. And it's nice to know that I'm no longer the lone female voice sitting up here. But I do also know I am not an unknown quantity. I have friends in St. Paul. I have legislators. They know me. I am not an unknown quantity. I am comfortable speaking everywhere. So I'd like to thank you in advance for your vote on April 13th.
Thanks, Heidi. And Paul, you'll be next. 2
Thanks,
minutes.
and thanks for hosting the forum. You know, I'm a product of Ely. My grandparents immigrated here as true pioneers in this community. They raised their daughter here with my mother. We raised 6 boys here in Ely. I was the 5th of 6. And I went to Ely High School. I graduated from Vermilion Community College. I taught at Vermilion for 40 years. So I'm so deeply integrated in this community. We raised our children here, and we found it to be a wonderful place with many opportunities and a great school system. So over that time, I've been involved in the council for over 20 years in 2 different stints, or maybe not over, but close to 20 years. And I've enjoyed public service. That's why I'm running for mayor, because I enjoy helping the community and serving the public. I think that in my first ad that I put out, there were 3 qualities that I listed. One is experienced, and I've long experienced in many organizations. I led the faculty at Vermilion as faculty president for more than 10 years. I'm thoughtful. I do my homework. I try to ask intelligent questions. And lastly, I'm committed. I believe that it takes work to do this job, and I've demonstrated that work in trying to achieve the priorities that I think are important for this community. I think I work together with a council. I've learned to listen, and I've learned to respect the opinions of other people. No person does this job alone. Not only are there counselors, there's a whole community of volunteers and people with good ideas. And as mayor, I intend to use all of those resources to help our community improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And that leaves Jerome.
Okay. Well, you know, I'd like to thank you ladies for doing such a great job of putting this on. I'd like to thank 2 organizations. All of these people here are great people, so I just feel if you vote, whoever you vote for would make a good mayor and make Ely a good place. I was born and raised here. Like your grandparents, my grandparents came here. They lived in Chandler, and my dad and mom both lived. My mom was from Aurora, but my dad was from Ely, and he was, you know, so when we were 10 years old, my dad made us go to work in masonry. So I learned to work hard all my life, and I learned that hard work will push you forward and make you a better person. I was the first person in my household to ever graduate high school. We had 11 children. I was the only one to ever graduate and go to college. I thought that was important, and my mom was very proud of me. I always think the community is very important, so that's why I think, you know, volunteering is important. The community make it a better place. I'm just going to name a few of the things. Like I worked at, you know, Meals on Wheels, Ruby's Pantry in Babbitt. We give away food. They give away food and stuff. I coached at Ely High School for 18 years football and 3 years at the college. I also coached track for 12 years at the high school, and I've been director of softball for 29 years. I think communication is the most important part about being mayor, because you got to work with the council, and I want to work with the council. I like the job as mayor. I appreciate everybody who's voted for me in the past, and I would appreciate any votes in the coming election.
Thanks, Jerome. And finally, Angela.
Again, I want to say thank you to the Rotary and as well as the American Association of University Women. I want to extend a grateful thank you to the city councilors, members, as well as Roger for the years of public service. I'm the outsider. I'm the new one on the block as far as our councilors now in the city. And I want to change the status quo. I'm ready, and I come with the skill sets and abilities. But throughout this evening's debate, I have communicated my views, my opinions regarding specific questions that have been asked. Servant leadership is my leadership model. It's not about me, but the citizens of Ely. I cannot run this city of Ely without the support and excellence of the city Ely councilors. And remember, the mayor of Ely is a council member. The city of Ely's administration supports staff, department heads, and employees. There are 21 committees, and the outstanding commissioners who spend countless hours to advocate for a better Ely. The Ely citizens' voice. What is the key to the city of Ely and the mayor's success? It's people. I tell people all over the country that I live in the greatest town in America, that despite some of the issues we are dealt, we are able to survive as a community. I love Ely. Your vote is important to me to become Ely's next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you all. Clearly, this is a group that really loves Ely. We all do. And this now concludes tonight's forum. So on behalf of AAUW and Rotary, we want to thank all 5 of you for being here. Your preparation, your answers, it was quite amazing, I think. So also a special thanks to Todd and Morrow over there for bringing what we just did to a broader Ely audience. This event will be available for viewing later on YouTube. And it can be searched for under Ely Mayoral Candidate Forum 2021. Does that work, Todd? Thank you. So we hope the evening has been informative to people that are watching and gives you what you need to make an informed choice. So remember that early voting begins on February 26th and Election Day is April 13th. Voting is the way that we make our voices heard. So everybody have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening.